welcome to day 5 of ATSV. We have our last presentation about to start here in a minute with Anna Livermore, the founder and CEO of Vmora. She actually opened the series, so it's just fitting that she is the one to close it down. Her talk today is on building a profitable fashion brand, kind of bringing together a lot of the things we've been talking about over the last 5 days. So same, if anybody's new to this, the drill is at the very end, we will have Q&A. So if you have any questions, there's a Q&A dialog box at the bottom of your Zoom screen, and please feel free to use that or the chat function, and we'll address as many questions as we can at the end. Anna, since you are the last presenter, there is no time limit. So yeah, so take your time. Anybody, we have plenty of time for questions. So without further ado, Anna has the floor.
Cool. All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Anna Livermore, owner of Vmora. I am going to share screen with you guys, pull up our presentation, and we are good to go. Okay, so let's just do this quickly. Okay. Sorry about the beeps. We've got some. Okay, hold on one second. All right. Okay, all right, so let me pull up the presentation here. How are you guys doing this week? There's been a lot of seminars. Let me just get this view together. Sorry about that. And we'll be good to go. Downloading. There we go. Okay, so today we are talking about building a profitable fashion brand. And in order to do that, there's a lot of things that come into play. We're going to talk about that today. I'm Anna Livermore. I own Vmora. If you guys haven't been on any of my talks, then you don't know what we do. So I'll just explain it for you. We are a company that helps launch fashion designers. We do everything from start to finish: patterns, samples, budget, costing. I do one-on-one coaching. We do product development. We do manufacturing, branding, photo shoots, social media. So anything that you're looking for, we can help with. And yeah, we have a lot of fun. We love all of our clients. They're all launching successfully and selling and working together through this time. So it's been an honor for me to just be a part of that with all of my clients. So if you're interested in talking more about working together, anything like that, or have questions after today's seminar, I'm going to put in the chat my information so that you can, let's see if I can figure out how to do this. Okay, Anna@vmora.com. That is my information. My website is vmora.com. And if you'd like to book a strategy session, just let me know. Actually, Jason put that strategy session link in the chat yesterday. Okay. And so when you are launching a clothing line, to do this, you'll need to be both creative and business-minded. And then in the middle of that is your profit. So it's natural for you to be heavier in one direction or the other, whether that's the creative mind and maybe you'll want to pull in some people to help you with the business end of it, or you're stronger in the business mind and you want to pull in someone to help you with the creative. Either is fine. If you can do both and you're great at both, amazing. But you want to just sit down take a minute and decide where your strong points are, and where you might want to pull in people to help, even if it's friends or professionals, consultants, but you'll need both a creative mind and a business mind in order to profit in the fashion industry. So we're going to cover the creative mind, exercises that go along with this creativity. These would be mood boards, your sketches, sourcing your fabrics, creating your logos, hang tags, labels, drafting patterns, samples, directing your photo shoot, making lookbooks and line sheets. So all of these are where you're going to have to pull out of this your creative mind, right? So if you take a look at this and you're like, you know, some of these on here I'm going to need help with, that's absolutely fine. Part of being profitable is analyzing where are your strong points and where you're going to pull in professionals to help. Obviously, that'll probably be with patterns and samples. Even if you make your own patterns and samples, it's not going to be profitable for you to be sewing your 100-piece collection, because as a business owner, you should be selling. So there are some things that even if you're strong in, it pays to delegate those out to other people, because they have the time, they might have more experience than you. So even if you are experienced in patterns and samples, it is something, and manufacturing, it's probably something that you'll want to outsource. So these are the creative mind, and we're going to run through these. What is a mood board? So a mood board is each season, and I've talked about this, I'm sorry if you guys have heard me all week, there are common threads that come up over and over, so they're important. We'll just keep repeating them. But a mood board is going to, every season, you should be creating a mood board, something that will bring you back to, what did I want to create this season? And what was my first idea? Is this good idea to fit in with this mood board, or is it something I want to think about for a future collection? So just continuing to stay on brand. You don't want to have a collection that's all over the place. You'll want to pick a color scheme. You'll want to have what textures you're using, what fabrics, what kind of design aesthetics. You'll want it to all make sense. And creating this mood board is what helps. And we do mood boards along the way for different projects. So there's your mood board for your collection and your designs. There's going to be your mood board for your brand identity. That's your logo, your website, any promotional material, hang tags, things like that. And then there's going to be another mood board for your photo shoot. So that will give details on what kind of photos you want, if you're going to use film, what kind of lighting, what kind of location. So there's different mood boards along the way. But yes, creating mood boards, that can be in any way. You can do a Pinterest board. You can print things out and do it old school, where you have magazines or pictures printed off the internet and, glue and scissors, whatever you feel creative and inspired to do. But yes, doing your mood board is part of that creative process. And then here we've got some sketches. So after your sketches, after your mood boards, you'll want to create your Illustrator sketches. If you can only do them by hand, that's okay too. Eventually you should have somebody take your hand sketches and put them in a digital format for your tech pack. But in the beginning, if you like to do the hand sketching, that's fine. You can always convert those later. And if you have no ability, I guess I should talk about, if you're just business minded and you have no ability to sketch, you can hire a company like Vmora, and what we'll do is we'll sit and sketch for you while you talk. You can bring us examples, show us photos, and we'll be sketching your garment. It reminds me of the police, suspect sketchers. I mean, it's not that serious. We're not catching murderers, but we are sketching while you're drawing, showing you, editing as you go, so that you can get the perfect sketch before you move into patterns and samples. Okay, so your fabric and your trim sourcing, we're going to run through that. This is also the creative part. This is where you'll be thinking about patterns or textures, and all of these will have to come together. And these are just the different places that you can be purchasing your fabric. That is not, if you heard my mistakes that designers make, is not a retail store. We want to stay away from those. So you'll either be working with a mill, a converter, a jobber, or a rep. Mills have very high minimums, and the goods come raw. They're gray goods. So you won't necessarily be working with them unless you're making very high minimums. Converters are what take those gray goods, and that's G-R-I-E-G-E, so it's grayish but pronounced gray. The gray goods, and they dye it, they treat it, and they make it ready for the sales reps and the jobbers. So you'll probably be dealing with a sales rep or a jobber. You'll just want to check what they call the continuity of the fabric. So that means if you order it now for sampling, will it still be available when you are ready to do production in 3 to 6 months, depending on. So that's just working with the fabric vendors. And then here, again, in the creative, mine would be the logos and the hang tags. So these are just really important. This is your brand. You want to sit down and, again, like I said, put together another mood board. You'll put together a whole deck. Vmora can help you do that. I'm doing a one-on-one coaching. I've got a promotion. I'll be talking about that later, but one of the things that we can focus on is creating this deck. It has your fonts, it has your logo, it has your colorways, it has the Pantone numbers, it has everything that you need for your brand, and the logos and the hang tags are part of that. It's really important to have your branding all together and cohesive. You don't want to use different colors, different fonts. You want it to be sleek and make sense to the consumer. So logos and hang tags are something that you want to think about, because you don't want to spend all your time being creative and having these amazing pieces and then not spending the time for your branding message all around. And I guess I didn't. Your logo and hang tag should reflect your brand. Include contact information on your hang tag. Choose good quality paper and printing. Again, you can have a really, really nice garment, and if you have an inexpensive, cheap, like thin hang tag or label, it can damage your brand. So you want to be careful of that. Color is important, but make sure your logo is versatile enough that it'll look good in grayscale. Again, you'll also, if you have way too many colors in your logo, a lot of times in printing and making, if you're doing woven labels or anything at all, the more colors, the more expensive, because they'll charge you a per color price. So you want to keep that in mind, keep it simple. Oh, and also make sure you can read it. There's nothing worse than like having a garment that you love and you want to look up that designer, and you go and you look on their logo label and you can't read it. You know, it's in like a fancy cursive and you're like, well, I'll never know. So make sure that it's legible, that you can read it. And you think that'd be a given, but unfortunately it's not. So legible, important. But yeah, keep your logo simple. Think Nike and Apple. All right. Okay, and then here are some examples of the care labels. So you can look up all this information on Google. There's a Textile Fiber Product Identification Act. So you have to have what your product is made out of. There's the wool products labeling. Cotton has a label. I think made in the US is just a general label. There's the Flammable Fabrics Act. So if you're doing children's wear, sleepwear, you'll want to be aware of that because that has to be labeled. And then there's the care label rule of the instructions on how to wash your garment and using the symbols as well, so it's universal. So you can find all of that online, but just something to think about when you're thinking about your labels. So drafting your patterns. And again, if you were on I don't remember what day it is, my Blur's Day talk on the 10 mistakes that designers should avoid. We talked about not cutting patterns or cutting corners when it comes to your patterns. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't sell. So make sure that you are working with a pattern maker that is completely aware of your product, has experience, can give you what you're looking for, because it's really, really important. Okay, so now we're gonna go into the photo shoot, the lookbook, and the line sheets. Again, staying in that creative mind. We're gonna get to the business minds second. That one's always less fun. Well, not for everybody, but. So a lookbook it can be editorial by nature, and they use it to show the feel of the collection of the brand. So this would be on your website, this would be on your Instagram, the photos from it would be on your Instagram. It's more of an editorial. It's the things that you would see on a website or in a magazine. versus the photo that you would see when you clicked on it to buy the garment. So that will be a different photo shoot. This one is more look and feel. And this is really important if you are going to be doing wholesale. So this is a line sheet. So the line sheet here, you can see it has all this information on it, what it's made out of, the wholesale price, retail price. You want a very clear picture of the garment. That can also be a sketch, and it doesn't have to be in color. This is what your wholesale buyers will use when ordering your product. They'll look off of your line sheet. But again, if you're not doing wholesale, I don't know that you'll need a line sheet per se. You'll need photos that are like this here, that are flat for with a white background for your website, for your shopping online. But you might not need a full line sheet, but you'll need all this information if you're planning to sell direct to customer on your website. Okay, so now, budget and timeline. We're moving over into that business mind. We've got create a realistic budget and timeline, develop a business plan. I have some creative ways of doing business plans. I myself have a confession to make. I've never written out a full business plan. I definitely have a one-pager that I use year after year. I have all the information for a business plan, but I've never had an investor, nor have I worked with getting an investor, so I've never generated a business plan for my business. That might not be right for you. You may have to put together a business plan for an investor or just for yourself, but I use different tactics that work better for a creative mind. I run my business a little bit more through intuition than through structure, which works for me. But it took me a long time to get there. When I was new in my business and I had a lot of people come in and be like, what, you don't have a business plan? How are you going to be a good business owner? Like, that's unheard of. And I felt really guilty about it. But after a while, I was just like, you know what, this is working. The numbers are showing that this works for me. So I have created my own tactics for business plans. And again, in that coaching, I can run you through that. So you too can use my way of business plans. But again, an investor might love that. But I can also help you with the business plan that the investor would be looking for with the numbers and all of that as well. Okay, so understanding the steps to production, understanding your costing, research and market development, and then hire your experts to help, an attorney, an accountant, a consultant, and generating your sales plan here. All right, so budget and timeline. For your budget, keeping the fashion calendar in mind when you're budgeting your line, you'll need to cover 2 seasons at a time. So you'll need to budget out for the patterns and samples and production of your first season, and then the samples of your second, because you'll need to be ready with that next season before that production is out. So, and before you get paid. So before you get paid in that first season's production, because that gets paid when you ship to the customer, you'll need to be developing your season 2. So you want to keep that in mind when you're doing your budgeting. And then we've got your timeline. So make sure that it's realistic and that you're in line with the fashion calendar of when spring launches and sells and when fall launches and sells. It depends on your product. You know, if you're doing something like doggy wear or pajamas, you have a lot more leeway. But you'll still want to be mindful of when buyers are accustomed to seeing new pieces and spending the most money. So the summer collection, so designing, taking orders, production, and delivery. So that's just an example of why you want to be working ahead of time so that you can deliver for that season. Okay, so we're going to run through, this is what a business plan, if you're working with your investor, will need to look like. Mission statement, description of your company, why your product is different and unique. You need a market analysis, description of your key term members, your SWOT analysis, cash flow statement, revenue projections, and a summary. So you can see it's a lot of work. It's going to be long. So if you can create this just for how it works for you, that'll be helpful. Like I always do a SWOT analysis. I do a market analysis. I know my cash flow statements. I know my revenue projections. I know all of this information. If I had to put it in this format for an investor, I could. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't be aware of this. You should be aware of all of this. And if needed, be able to put it in a format to work with an investor, or if you're going to get a loan or anything like that. All right. So steps to production. This is what we went through yesterday, and I believe it's recorded and you can watch it. So in detail, I run you through all of these steps to production. I'll just leave them here so if you're screenshotting or anything like that, but if you're looking for this in more detail, you can definitely watch my yesterday's talk specifically just on steps to production. But for time, I'm just going to give you guys a look at it. But those are all the steps to production. You'll need to be aware of that, manage that correctly, give leadways in your deadlines. You know, if a pattern maker says they'll have it to you on Friday, you want to give a cushion time in case anything happens. Same with your factory. You'll want to give quality check time in case there's a quality issue and some things have to be fixed. So just being very realistic with your steps to production. And again, in the coaching, I can run you through something very specific with days that you can implement. So yeah, that's a possibility. We've got costing. And I believe Francis did a talk on costing with the formula of how to do it. Basically, it's your raw materials, your cost of goods, your labor cost. There's a cushion in there, and you've got to have a wholesale price and a retail price. So your retail price will need to be double your wholesale price at the very minimum. And this PowerPoint, this session will be available through video on, Jason will tell you about that at the end, but you can access it through the website. They are posting it on Facebook, so you will have access to today's seminar as well as all the seminars from this week via the trade show emails and links. And then Jason will help you with that at the end. So competitor research, you want to define your target market, the demographics of your customer, their personality, everything about them, and know what your competition is doing. Okay, yes, and Jason has shared the link where you can find all the seminars. Thanks, Jason. So you'll want to just write this out. I like to pretend I am the customer and do a journal entry. So writing a journal as your customer helps to get in the brain and the mind of that customer. I also, when I am writing any promotional material or coming up with any new concepts, I pick a specific client or ideal client, and I write this message to them. And I say, hey, Erica, I'm doing this seminar on Friday. We're going to be talking about a profitable business. I know you're new and you're looking for information. It's free. Come join us, you know, blah, 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 blah. So I'm thinking of Erica, and I know that she's an ideal client and that she has taken things, you know, seminars from me in the past, and that she'll love this seminar. So I write this message to her, and then I switch that name out and make it generalized. And that always comes across as more personalized than if I were to just be like, I'm doing a seminar on Friday. This is what it's about. I hope you all can come. It's going to be awesome. So being as specific as possible and really talking to your customer helps. So you can practice that. Okay, so expert help, an attorney. Yes, you know, you'll need one for trademarking, incorporating, protecting your intellectual property, any contracts, confidentiality agreements. So a lawyer's best to help with you on that. And an accountant, you'll want to stay up with your taxes. You know, you want to keep in mind this is a business. You're running a company. So yeah, we got to file taxes, unfortunately. And having an accountant to help you with all of that is best. And then there's consultants. So obviously, I'd be more than happy to help any of you watching today. We can put together a specific plan. Here we go. So my coaching, I'm doing a promotion. So for the month of June, if you sign up before June 15th, instead of it being $2,000 a month, it's $1,200. And the reason I'm doing that is because it's been so wonderful to work with all my clients through the time of COVID, bringing you guys together, letting you guys know that it's possible and people are launching, helping you guys stay inspired, and just being there for all over support that I too wanted to give back in some way and find a way that I could work with more clients, because I love all of my clients. It's been an honor. So like I said, instead of $2,000, it's $12,000. Okay, so if you're interested, email us, set up that 20-minute strategy, and we could talk in more detail. All right, so you want to create your sales. So creating your sales, you'll want to create an audience, and it'll start with just your friends and family and their friends and family. So you don't necessarily have to jump into the market with a gigantic audience. If you do have one, amazing, but you can build one through social media, through friends and family. You'll want to think of your different selling avenues, if that's going to be trade shows, consignment, online, wholesale, trunk shows. We're doing what we call a micro pop-up shop, where you'd open up your selling window for a few days and generate sales. So just thinking of anything creative. Literally, what I like to say when it comes to selling, think outside of the box. And if you end up selling 100 garments out of the trunk of your car because you went grocery shopping and thought your customer was there, I don't care. So think of any way you can to possibly sell, and try a lot of things. What you think will work might not be you might think I'm going to only do wholesale, but it turns out doing direct to customer is more profitable. So you don't really know until you've been there and until you've tried it. So try a lot. Selling, get used to hearing no. Make it a goal to hear no, because if you're not hearing no, you're not out there enough. So you can say, I'm going to call 100 stores, or I'm going to call boutiques until I hear 100 no's today. And try and detach from the feeling of failure and realize you're opening up the connection and the relationship with that buyer. It's not a now, never, yes or no, black or white. It's, hey, I'm a designer. Here are my things. Opening up that door so they know who you are. And that's the same with clients. If you think about it, about building relationships and opening your network, instead of, are you going to buy this right now? Yes or no, I need to know. So it also comes off more genuine. So where your competition, where are they selling? What are their price ranges? Who do you hang well with? You'll want to think about all that. Maybe they'll give you some ideas. Watch them online. How are they selling? What are they doing? You can get inspired. Sending postcards. So sending snail mail, sending anything in snail mail is really effective because we don't get a lot of mail. So you can pick your top 5 boutiques and send them a really nice gift. It could be a keychain. It could be anything that's branded. It could be a mask. Lots of people are doing masks right now. So sending something in the mail to either your wholesale boutiques or your ideal direct to customers, keeping it personal. Social media and digital marketing strategy. So Instagram, influencer marketing, digital ads. Obviously, these all cost money, so you'll want to sit down with that budget ahead of time and figure out what you can afford and what your plan is. All right, so just about Vmora, we already ran through that. But yeah, we're a company. We help launch designers. If you're interested, get a hold of us and we can do a complimentary 20-minute strategy. So now I'm going to go to Q&A. Let's see. Okay, I'm in an emerging niche market. How do I do research, marketing, competition analysis when there's no competition yet? Well, it doesn't have to be the exact product to what you're launching, but it can be something similar. So how you could be seeing someone like, what are they buying now instead of your product? Is there an alternative? Is there a like product that does something different but kind of has the same message? So just do as much research as you can. If there's no competition at all, then how are you going to find your customer? Where is your customer at now? If they're not looking for your specific product, what are they looking for that you are placing an alternative product instead of? So I hope that answers you. I don't have a lot of specifics, what your product is, things like that, but yeah, just do as much research as you can. Thank you, Anna. How long does it take to realize sketches? In what format can you provide final sketches? So we can do sketches in Illustrator, obviously. And to do sketches, if we sit down, you know, we'll have them done in 2 hours, depending on how many styles you have, but each sketch doesn't take long. Yes, that was actually helpful. Good, Karen. I'm glad you enjoyed it. If I can't access the PowerPoint, we can't stay too long, so Jason gave the link for that. Excellent presentation. You're genuine. Thank you. I love doing this stuff. Do I have experience with footwear? I do. So you can contact us via strategy session. Do you have a good resource for designers to do freelance work? I know there's different places online that freelance designers can go for work, but I don't know of any offhand, just because Vmora ourselves does the design work, so we've never had to search for any. So unfortunately, I don't have an answer for that. I'm interested in getting 1 month class, and I have clothing line, but would only need just a couple of your services. Do you price change? So contact us, the strategy session. What I do for the coaching is I have 12 classes as examples, and you just pick what you need, and then we just focus those 4 classes specifically around your needs, if that makes sense. So you're not paying for anything that you don't need or any information or services you've already done. So we just focus in on where you're at and exactly what you need. Can you interpret fashion illustrations into tech packs, and how much would it cost? So we do tech packs. If it's for domestic, we do them for $350. If it's international, or if you're working with any special factories like on-demand, things like that, it's $750 per tech pack. 40-piece line. So that's a lot. So you'd probably get a discounted price on those tech packs, because I assume a lot are similar. So contact us via Anna, A-N-N-A, at vmora.com, and we could talk about it more specifically. What are your thoughts on print on demand as a startup? Print on demand. Well, you can't just do, are you talking about blanks and then you print on something after the garment's already made? Because if so, it's fine, as long as you have a good resource to do those screen prints and are able to turn it around quickly. But with each screen print, a test has to be made. So you'll have to test the print. You'll have to, there's a setup fee, so that'll have to be included, but you can figure it out. People do it. Yes, so, okay, your garment's already done and you're doing printing. So you just want to look at the cost involved, because with each print, if you're doing screen printing, there's usually a setup fee. So unless you're doing it yourself, you'll want to look at the cost, because it can be costly. What exactly does your business focus on? So we focus on working with designers to help launch their product and get them to market selling successfully. So everything, we've worked with all clients: children's wear, dog wear, men's wear, women's wear, evening wear, wedding dresses. I've been doing this for 12 years, since 2008. So I always say there is no product that I haven't done, and then I get a surprise product and I'm like, well, this is new. So yes, we've worked in just about everything. What's the best advice on saving on shipping fees? So just set up a shipping account and look at their different fees. There's different places that will pick up and ship for you. So you really just want to do your research on what's out there, setting up an account and making it efficient as possible. Do you have partners you work with in Canada? Yes, I do. Yeah, I do. I actually know a lot of Canadians. Yeah, randomly. So yes, the answer is yes. Oh, thanks, Jason, sharing the strategy session link. All right. How did you break into fashion? What's your degree? Why do you love this business? Awesome question. I went to school for fashion design, and it was a degree in fine art with a concentration in fashion design, my BFA from Columbia College in Chicago. And, I graduated not really knowing what to do. I'm not a huge advocate for going to school for fashion design afterwards because I spent a lot of money, and I got a lot more experience working at a custom design shop and as a buyer at a small boutique than I did in school. But would I have gotten those jobs if I hadn't had the degree? I don't know. So whatever, that's my experiences. I had to get some real world experience in order to be able to be prepared for the fashion industry. And I started my own clothing line. And through that, I was doing patterns and samples for designers locally because I was trained as a pattern maker and sample maker from this 70-year-old woman. And I really, really enjoyed that client contact and being able to have a client that's like, I have no idea how I'm going to do this or how I'm going to get it done. And then they'd show up 2 weeks later and I'd be like, here's your garment. And they would cry and they'd be so excited. And I just loved it. So I focused on just helping the designers because I had my own clothing line I was working with factories, and because I was a buyer, I knew trade shows and selling. Things are a lot different now than they were back then, but that's how it started. And why do I love the business? Well, I have a creative and business mind, so I love being able to use both. I don't think I'd be happy in just the creative or just the business. So that's one of the reasons I love it. And I love working with my clients one-on-one and being able to see their growth and their progress. It's super gratifying for me to help them, launch their clothing lines and go out into the world and have this beautiful product online that they're selling. And I love it. You're welcome, Danielle. What degree would you recommend someone starting school who wants their own fashion line? So I always say, go to school for business and get a minor in Mandarin. It's going to help you with working with offshore factories. It's going to help you with working with even local factories. Mandarin and Spanish are spoke a lot. Depends on the market though, because Italian, we do a lot of Italian wools, fabrics, higher end stuff. But for the most part, if I knew how to speak Mandarin or Spanish, it would help me the most in my experience. And going to school for business just to learn how to do budgets, how to project the market, how to do competitors analysis. If you have the creative brain or the creative mindset, that's something that can be inspired and molded, but it can't be learned. So if you're not creative, you don't have that. But if you are creative and you have that, you can learn the business side. So yeah, that's my opinion, only my opinion. Business, finance, marketing, admin, yeah, all of those are good. So again, learning how to, because at the end of the day, being a fashion designer, you are a business person. You own a business. And if you're going to do that, you need to be able to manage a business. And that is more difficult to learn. You can learn that in school more so than learning that the hard way. I learned the hard way, but it worked out for me too. So whatever you do, as long as you keep moving forward. So it's a hard question to answer. But yeah, that's my opinion. What's the minimum amount to fully launch a clothing line of product services such as hair product? Minimum amount. I'm assuming you're talking about financing. And again, Jason, it's my favorite question. How much to launch a clothing line or a hair product line? Again, you'll have to sit down with someone that can walk you through everything. There's not like, oh, X amount of dollars and you can launch a line. I don't know what products you're doing, how much the development's going to be. Yeah, I don't have enough information, unfortunately, to answer that, but it does take money to start a company. Any business takes money.
That'd be a good question for the 20-minute strategy session.
Yeah.
So highly recommend anybody who has more questions for Anna to do that.
All right, perfect.
Looks like, do we have any more?
How can you go about starting your own clothing line? So again, just finding out those steps, start to finish. Like I presented in this presentation, the steps to production, sketches, pattern samples, sourcing. So you'll just run through those steps, do the timelines. Again, if you wanted to work with me on the coaching one-on-one, I can run you through how to start your own clothing line. So yeah, someone's asking what was the name of my clothing line. It was Vmora, same name.
For anybody who hasn't gone to fashion school, I went to fashion school as well in Los Angeles.
Yeah, what's your opinion? Am I wrong?
No, yeah. So, well, so for the people who aren't planning on going to fashion school, you certainly don't need a degree in fashion to start your own clothing line. But if you are thinking about it, and not necessarily something that's specific to fashion, but getting a business degree, if you want to get a fashion degree or a business college degree, even if you want to go the designer route, nowadays it's extremely important to understand the entire picture, because if you're going to own your own business, that's especially crucial. If you're going to work as a designer in another company, if you want to go that route, nowadays I know I have a lot of friends that work at companies like Ralph Lauren. They actually did away with their design department and infused it into the product development department. And what that means is that, you know, they want people who do the creative to understand the supply chain, who understand sourcing, to understand the business, because at the end of the day, if they design a garment that's not cost effective to produce, or it's got too much intricacy for large volume, then that's a problem. That's been a problem for a long time, but now they're starting to bridge the gap by expecting designers to understand the business side. And even if you go the design route and you own your own business, you need to be able to speak the basic language so that you can delegate, so that you can outsource. So I agree with you, Anna, that get a business degree is probably the number one thing you could do.
And like, if you're going to go to school for fashion design, you think about what the cost is on that. And if you were to invest even just a portion of that, of hiring a consultant, you'll get more information that you need to actually launch. You know, if you're working with me, I'm going to say, here's your fabric guy, here's your zipper guy, here's your tech packs. These are what you should do. This is your selling strategy. Like, I'm going to hand you the tangible deliverables to get you launched. Whereas school will be more expensive, and it's going to give you kind of like a theory to go by, but it's not going to be, this is what you do and this is who you do it with. So yeah, I hope we never get in trouble for continuing to like.
No, I mean, I agree with you though. You know, the amount of money you're going to spend going to school is an exorbitant amount compared to how much you could spend at an agency like Vmora. If you know you want to do fashion, that's your route. Nowadays experience is more valuable than sometimes accolades. So, to own your own business, link up, just start with a 20-minute strategy session and go from there. That's what I would do. Yeah.
Perfect.
So I included a link up top next to Anna's 20-minute strategy session link. On top of that, there's the apparel textile sourcing virtual link. If you have any questions about sourcing, or you want to find out where to get your products made or find fabric vendors, Anna does that as well. But if there's something else you want to help with on that end, then we can help you as well. There's a chat function. It's pretty easy to get in contact with a real human being, not a bot. We don't use bots. So actually, funny enough, the guy's name who monitors for the most part the chat function, his last name is Bots. So we do use a bot. But it's not it's not a computer, it's a person. But all right, I think we got some more. I think we have some more questions coming in here for you, Anna.
Yeah, so many questions. Okay. Do you guys stay with the person, y'all? How cute. I have a hard time saying y'all. Y'all consulting until they are satisfied, or just a period of time? So we'll plan that out. If we only have a month to work together, I'm like, okay, we have 1 month. What are the deliverables? What do you need? What do we need to talk about? And I keep us on track. I'm going to get you flooded with content information so that you walk away in that month being satisfied. So we just talk about that up ahead of time. What are your expectations? What would it take to be satisfied? And I make sure that we get you there. So yeah, that's how we do it. Coming back to the sliders, fabric. Okay, mills, converters, jobbers. Do you know the spread of the markup? How does the price increase throughout these stages? So if you're working directly with a mill, you're still going to have it converted into fabric. So if you're working directly with a converter, the minimums are going to be really high. You're looking at, gosh, at least 2,000 yards. So yes, the price is less, but the minimums are so much higher that they tend to be unattainable for a new designer. So working with a sales rep or a jobber, and you can go, like, for example, Vmora reps Gordon Fabrics. And if you go directly to Gordon in Canada, they're going to give you the same price that I give you. So you don't get a discount going directly to the person over the sales rep. Okay. Sorry, are the wholesalers for fabrics located here for designers? I need fabrics instead of paying for retail price. Thanks, Anna. All your seminars are very helpful, are just what we need. Gloria, yes, you save instead of paying for school. Is there a question in there? I don't know where you are to give you, but here, meaning the trade show, there's lots of fabric vendors, so you can go to booth and check them out today until 5 o'clock.
We also have a matchmaking service. That,
yeah.
So if you can actually ask somebody those questions, and they'll either point you in the right direction, or they'll find you a resource for you to find that, whatever you're looking for.
We do help with luxury brands. I do have clients successfully selling in the luxury sector of the industry. Do you help developing a sales strategy? Absolutely. Or following it for examples, contacting buyers. Yes. So we will help you with all of that. Okay, I think that is it. Did I get everything? If I missed anyone, I'm sorry, but you can contact me with the link for a free strategy session. I'm going to just post that again for everyone. And we can talk about what you're looking for specifically. So yes, what's a reasonable MOQ? We know vendors that have 5-yard minimums for brands starting out. Liquid cash, again, what's the amount of liquid cash you recommend to get started? It depends on what you're doing and what you're launching and how many pieces. Are you doing leather? Are you doing cotton? There's no direct answer I can give you without knowing all that information. How much investment do you need? That's like the 5th question. I told you it's my #1 question. How much do I need to start a clothing line? And it just, the answer is it varies between what you're doing, how many styles, but you will need money. I'd say minimum $5,000, right? Minimum. With $5,000, you can figure something out. But with more, you can figure more out. You'll get a larger return if you have more money to spend. I would estimate around $3,000 per style for development. So yeah, those are just some numbers. Because yeah, they're not going to be specific to you, but just rule of thumb. Okay, is there the same process to develop products to supply to the fashion industry as it is to develop fashion? Yes. I don't know if I understand that question. Okay, cool. Well, contact me for a strategy session. We can talk in specifics. Jason, this has been wonderful. I'm so hot. I get to turn on my air conditioning when we're
that's right. Yeah. It's kind of humid over there right now, right?
It's so humid. Yeah.
I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona, so it's like hot, but it's completely dry, so it's not, you don't get sweaty. So
yeah.
No,
I'm not like the heat.
Yeah.
But I also don't mind the air conditioner. So
just 1 for 1. I think we had one more come in. Great to reach out. I'll reach out to you. Social media marketing.
It's so humid in New York. Yeah, right?
Yeah, I'm happy sitting over here in the desert.
The above link doesn't work.
Which one?
The strategy session link? Let me try it again.
Yeah.
Oh, I think because it was typed together too. So try that one. Let me see. Yep, there you go. That one works.
And I also included a link to the virtual trade show in case
That
anybody.
sounds really cool.
That would be a bit. The only one allows designers come at low cost. Start up at low cost in Tempe.
I don't know.
Oh, sorry. I'm just trying to follow this thread here. Have you used new fashion building in ASU? I have not. No, I actually I did my schooling in LA, so I was at FITM, and then I moved out here about 1.5 years ago. So yeah, the vast majority of my experience in the industry was in Los Angeles. Not a lot of fashion in Arizona at the moment. Just so everybody knows, I did include a link to the ATSV show up a little bit higher. There's a chat function on there for matchmaking. You can actually talk to somebody about your specific needs, and then there's also a link to the show floor. So I highly encourage anybody who hasn't to go check it out. And I think we are almost at the top of the hour. So Anna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. I feel like I learn something new every time I sit in your seminars. So
awesome.
Yeah.
We will see you. When's the next show? Do they know yet? Scheduled in person? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
October.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's where?
That's in Canada. Yeah.
Canada.
But we are still doing Miami in November at this point. So
got it.
So
cool.
Everybody make sure you're all subscribed to our email list. Just go to the ATS homepage, and we'll send a link to that really quick. And again, Anna, it's been a pleasure. Thank you to all of our attendees and everybody watching. We hope everybody stays safe, stays productive, and continues on your journey in the apparel industry.
Perfect. Thanks, Jason.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, everyone.